For as long as I can remember, I've looked up to and admired my brother Matthew. I moved to Seattle after college, following Matt and my brother Billy, who's also here tonight. The three of us were always very close. We grew up in a small town in southern Illinois on a farm. Matt was possibly the perfect son and the perfect brother growing up. He was smart and sweet and beautiful. He graduated third in his class from high school. He got his MBA by the time he was 24, and he moved to Seattle that same year. He had already saved up enough money to buy a house. Matt didn't drink or smoke. He spent time exploring the outdoors, traveling the world, often with just a backpack, researching and investing in stocks, and meditating. He had an air of confidence and gentleness about him, like a wise old soul. Something started changing in Matt in his early 30s. He began showing signs of mistrust and paranoia, and before we knew it, he was in a full-blown paranoid delusional state. He was certain there was a conspiracy against him, that he was being followed and filmed wherever he went. Within a few months, Matt's whole world unraveled before our eyes. He lost everything: his friends, his house, his money. He lived in fear, he trusted no one, and he flat out refused help. He ended up in jail, and then in mental health court, where Billy and I found ourselves testifying against him. Our brother was rolled into the courtroom, strapped down on a gurney. He lay there, calling out to us by name, yelling across the courtroom that we were liars. Matt ended up at Western State Hospital. He was eventually put on the right meds, and he was doing really well. When he was released, Billy and his wife Kathy opened up their home to him, but Matt still never admitted that he was mentally ill. He quickly stopped taking his meds, he fell back into the depths of schizophrenia, and before we knew it, he was back in jail and then on the streets. Mom and Dad finally removed him as executor of their will. The merry-go-round of homelessness, jail, emergency room visits, and institutional life went on for 6 years. The times that he was homeless were the toughest. I can tell you, it's difficult to fall asleep when you're in the throes of a Seattle winter and someone you love is on the streets. It's tough cuddling up under a warm-down comforter when you know that your brother is cuddling up with a sidewalk. Especially on those nights when the rain was coming down in sheets and the thermometer was dropping and the sun had set at 3:45 in the afternoon. My husband Nicholas and I would set out to find Matt. We would drive along slowly, looking at every person huddled in a doorway, digging through the garbage for food, trying to get shelter and warmth under a soggy cardboard box. When we would find him, we would put him up in a cheap hotel. But it never lasted for more than a few days. Matt would get kicked out for standing in the parking lot in the middle of the night making a ruckus, or for telling the guy at the front desk about his marriage to Madonna, or about Snouty, the mean spirit who lived in his face, or about the bodies he could sell him for $1 million each. I didn't blame him for kicking him out. It's just that we were running out of options. Our many, many attempts to find appropriate housing for him failed miserably. I remember thinking, if only he were in jail, he would at least be warm and dry and comfortable. We had nearly given up all hope, and then one day, everything changed. The DESC found Matt. They found him and gave him a key to his own studio apartment. With that key, and equally as important with the services and support they provided for him, they enabled my brother to regain control of his life, to step off that tragic cycle that he was trapped in. Since that day, Matt has been taking his meds consistently. Since that day, he has not slept on a sidewalk. He has not spent a night in jail or Harborview or Western State. A few weeks ago, Matt called and invited me up to his apartment for a cup of coffee. It may seem like a simple thing, but in the 2 years since he's lived at Evan's house, he hadn't invited us in to his space. He always wanted to go out. This time, he proudly showed me to his room, introducing me to his friends along the way. There seemed to be a new sense of belonging in him. Perhaps, after 2 years of finally living in just one place, it has finally sunk into him that he really has a home he can relax. While we were having coffee, he asked me if I could get him a subscription to the Investor's Business Daily. That took me back. I lived with him for 6 years on his home on Finney Ridge, and he read that newspaper every single day, and it just kept stacking up and up and up. Well, before I left, I asked him, does he miss those old days? Does he ever feel lonely? He looked at me, the beauty of his face buried beneath his overgrown hair and beard, and he said, Diane, these are all my brothers and sisters. Why would I feel lonely? That's my brother Matt, a beautiful, wise old soul who has a long history of preaching to his little sister that we are all brothers and sisters. I love my brother, and I still admire him. My family and I are extremely grateful that he has a home, and we know that when the right people get involved, with compassion, with creativity, with boldness, and with sheer determination, amazing things happen. On behalf of my family, I would like to thank Bill Hobson especially, and the entire staff of the DESC, all of the community volunteers and supporters, for ending homelessness every single day, one brother, one sister at a time. Thank you.